Hello and welcome to Reddie Reviews. I'm your host JT Dickens, and we'll be looking at some newly released music from this past month, as well as some personal recommendations that I've been listening to. Be sure to stick around to the end for the local lookout to hear about some local Arkansas music. After 11 years without a new album, the Swedish garage rockers are back with a brand new release, and it feels like they've never left. While the title suggests a grim undertone to the album, with the band's songwriter and elusive sixth member Randy Fitzsimmons having possibly died during their time off, it continues the garage rock and punk-like sound and mentality that the band is known for. Opener Bogus Operandi brings driving riffs and chaotic lyrics that have some references to Hamlet, which is then followed up by the barn burner that is Trapdoor Solution, a fast, minute-long punk track that details someone building a trapdoor to take care of their problems, including people. My favorite track is definitely The Bomb, which has an infectious hook and increasingly verbose verses that make for something that's easily danceable. Speaking of the lyrics, while one would expect them to feel more mature since they've had time away, you'd be wrong because they're just as fun and crazy as their previous albums. Two Kinds of Trouble talks about a rebellious person and his philosophy that there's two kinds of trouble in the world, and Crash Into the Weekend has lead singer Hallen Pell Almqvist listing off different ways he's going to start the weekend off with a bang. If you're looking for something to mosh to while wearing a suit, or something to listen to while you're doing some hard yard work, this is one to check out. Back in April, I went to see the band Under Oath with a few friends, and UK metal band Loathe was one of the openers. I liked their stuff, but didn't actually dive into their discography until this summer, and I gotta say, it was great, because I had their second album on repeat for most of June. This one has a very distinct sound, in that it takes elements of genres like hardcore and metal and combines it with the sound of shoegaze. Now, while that might have you think it'll sound like My Bloody Valentine with tinges of metal screams, it's so much more than that. The first real track on the album, Aggressive Evolution, shows the dichotomy that the band play with on this album, with the verses and bridge having lead singer Kadeem France screaming over glitchy guitars and sludgy bass parts, while lead guitar and secondary vocalist Eric Bickerstaff sings over a slower chorus with hazy riffs while the bass keeps the song driving. The album is also very atmospheric in its quieter moments, or when there's nothing going on at all, which also helps with almost all of the tracks leading directly into the next. My two favorite songs are actually right next to each other, being Screaming and Is It Really You, with the former showing the grooviness and heaviness that some of these tracks can settle into, and the latter showing that these guys can do way more than be loud and abrasive, by having ethereal sounding pads start the track, with the guitars coming in to take up the extra space when necessary and add emotion to the lyrics. Speaking of the lyrics, a lot of them deal with letting go and embracing life, with other themes sprinkled in here and there. Two-Way Mirror has Kadeem singing about the relationship and communication between him and his father in a more clean tone compared to some of the other tracks. Conversely, the 1-2 punch of the heaviest tracks on the album, Gourd and Heavy is the Head That Falls with the Weight of 1,000 Thoughts, have very dark and bleak lyrics that kind of connect to each other, with the former being about trying to run away from negative thoughts and ultimately being consumed by them, and the latter dealing with losing control over yourself because of those feelings and not being able to see any light at the end of the tunnel. And of course, the instrumentals really bring this point home, with Gourd having a lumbering feeling at the beginning that has thudding guitars and the drums going crazy throughout, and Heavy is the Head opening with insane blast beats on the drums, and Kadeem reaching his peak of screaming on both of these tracks. Overall, if you're looking for a well-rounded album experience that deals with more heavy subject matter, I highly recommend listening to this one front to back. It's time for the local lookout. This segment is where I'll be shouting out a release from a local Arkansas band or artist. This episode, we'll be taking a look at emo band The Incompleteness Theorem out of Little Rock, Arkansas. With a melancholy atmosphere and pained vocals, The Incompleteness Theorem brings an emotional and nostalgic sound on their self-titled first album. The lyrics are very poetic on here, which leaves them open to many different interpretations. It's Pizza Rolls, Not Pizza Pockets has lead singer Phoenix McIntarfer talking about saying things just to have something to say, and what seems to be a very visceral description of someone enjoying the song's namesake, while Crawling Up Your Sleeves is about a person who distracts themselves with grand yet superficial things in order to forget someone, and has a nice callback to the opener, Coughing Up Your Lungs. Speaking of the opener, it's a great showcase of the sound on this project. Although it's rough around the edges, that only adds to the charm and feel of the album. It honestly reminded me of the band Current Joys in their earlier works, which is a huge compliment and has me excited for this band's future. If you're looking for something that has a lo-fi sound that feels like it could soundtrack some of the heavier moments in your life, this is one you should listen to. Currently, the band has a few songs that they're working on with the hopes of releasing them on a second project in the near future, as well as playing more shows all across Central Arkansas. To follow everything the Incompleteness Theorem is up to and to see when they'll be playing a show next, you can follow them at Incompleteness_Theorem on Instagram. And that's all for this episode. If you want to stay up to date on all things HTV, consider subscribing and ringing the notification bell for more content here at Henderson Television. Also, follow us on Instagram at henderson.television for updates on future releases, and check out the brand new Reddie Reviews playlist to listen to all of the tracks that I've mentioned in this and previous episodes. Tune in next month for more recent, personal favorites, and local music. I've been JT Dickens, and until next time, listen loud. Welcome back to the honorable mentions part of the video where the credits roll beside me and I list off some albums that I did not get to review this month. So, here we go. Movements, Ruckus, Travis Scott, Utopia, Hosier, Unreal Unearthed. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Henderson Television. Oh, and also, shout out Last Gasp for this really cool shirt.